have a little bit of an inside look at what the club newsletters said about where SACC came from, why it even started, and who was in charge to begin with. And then I found some interesting names on some of these newsletters that I have. John and Jan Zacharias on a couple of them, Dave Combs on several of them, and Dave Combs and his... oh, okay, Coombs. I'm sorry. I know people mispronounce my last name all the time too. So I'm really kind of, but thanks for correcting me, I appreciate that. So Dave Coombs and his role in SACC early on. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So if Jerry can bring up that first widget right there, number 1, SACC had a precursor, it came out of another club. It came out of the Sacramento Commodore Computer Club. And I have about 5 years worth of this newsletter before this date. So I've got quite a history of them too, and where they were at that time, including lots of little, in and out kinds of editorials, comments, things of that nature. And this was a 19-page newsletter that was just, full of reviews, how to do it, ads. This issue has the complete constitution of the Sacramento Commodore Computer Club, and this is the constitution and bylaws of that club as a proposal. And as I was reading through that, I thought, gee, this sounds a lot like the SACC Constitution. In fact, I think it was a copy and paste. So, but we used to have, or they used to have, ads in their newsletters. And I think the cost for a full page is in here someplace, somewhere around 45, 50 bucks for a full page ad in this club's newsletter. Now, you would think, okay, so why would people do that? Well, because I think this club had about 300 members. So it was quite a very targeted advertising, campaign to people who were local, and that it actually has some of the software and hardware stores here, right here in this newsletter: Candy Computer, Computer Time, Software Plus. There was a couple of other Amiga stores here, and these are all local. So you could walk in, you could look, you could try, you could pay your money and walk home with it. So this was ST Cubed, and here on the page 19, the last page, they had special interest groups at the time. How many of you do not know what a special interest group is? Ever heard of those? Okay, good. So I won't explain that. So there was an Amiga SIG in this club. This is 1986. Amiga came out in 1985. And so there was an Amiga SIG in this club. So here on page 19, it talks about, and this is the minutes of the Board of Directors meeting, June 2nd of 1986. 1986, yes. The club library talk about the Amiga diskettes needs to be discussed with George Leone, who was the leader of the SIG at the time. The library has 500 blank disks and 500 library disks. More discussion was tabled. The SIG coordinator's report says the original Amiga SIG has separated from the club. And so this is where SACC came from. And it's obviously buried on page 19. And no one really wanted to promote that idea. And they were going to continue with an Amiga SIG if people gave a rip.
What's that parting shots from the editor?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Parting shots from the editor.
What a nightmare this month.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's lots of love notes from the editor of the newsletter in these things. There are pretty much along those lines.
So wait, you mean there was drama in the Amiga community?
Oh my. So that's the origin, and this newsletter was addressed to John and Jan Zacharias on Vanguard Drive, and so they were active. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. They were in SACC Cubed, that's for sure, and it's all over the rest of the Amigas, that stuff. So, but they started to put out a newsletter right at the beginning. And so this is a 1987 newsletter. Their image number 2 up there, wherever in the world it is. I haven't had time to teach my 600 how to do this. So yeah, there we go. So that's what they called it at the time. It was just a newsletter, you know, Sacramento Amiga Computer Club newsletter. So rather than Sacramento Commodore Computer Club, it's the Amiga Computer Club. And you could kind of tell from that where it came from. So this is volume 2, issue 7. So they've already done SACC newsletter for this long. And they were meeting at the SMUD building. There was a lot of people writing for this. There was a lot of activity as far as the newsletter was concerned. And so they were talking about the official Sacramento Amiga Computer Club BBS should be online soon. So they were doing a BBS. And then on the back, they have some of the officers for the time. Now we're going to post all these images, I think, online. And so you'll be able to read all this stuff that you want to. All I'm trying to do is hit some highlights about where SACC came from. So it took them until October of 1987, which was shortly after this one, to come up with a name, AmigaZet. So that's image 3 up there. And so that's what the first one looked like. And the reason we know it's the first one is from the editor, Jim DeFord. Our newsletter has a new face and a new name. Welcome to AmigaZet, the official publication of the Sacramento Amiga Computer Club. So this is the first one. This is the first one, yeah. And so it really had kind of an interesting, evolution, from the Commodore Club to the Amiga Computer Club to the AmigaZet. Now you'll notice that the little logo here, the SACC logo, continues. Mm-hmm. So it's a really nice way for somebody who's doing this kind of archaeology, is what I think it is, to identify that this is the same club, same group of people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the gives you an idea in 1987 how big the club was. Biggest one in Northern California. The latest count at press time was just over 220 members. And he said, the last time that he counted, he said, I was the 99th member. So in 11 months, it had more than doubled. So it was quite a thing. Very much, lots of interest in it, and the other fun part to see in these things is what people paid for some of this stuff. Like here's the A2000 demo special. It was just $3,895. Huh? In 1987 money. Yes, 1987 money. $10,000 or $12,000 now. Yeah. So it had a 3.5-inch floppy, a megabyte of RAM, a whole megabyte, keyboard with mouse and documentation, and it had a 2 meg RAM expansion and a mini scribe 20 meg hard drive with a controller card. Yeah.
It costs $1,300 without the extra drive. It costs $300 for the monitor, so close to $3,000. No hard drive, half mega RAM.
Yeah.
And I just say every.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So they have coming.
Monitor listed as part of that special.
No, as a matter of fact, monitors were about $300, and you could they have I think they have a price in here in a monitor someplace, but they have.
It is deceptive flip art, though.
Well, yeah. So the interesting part about it was that there were people who were partying with that kind of money for this machine at that point. Now, I happened to be alive and working in 1987, and I was working in an office that didn't have Amigas, and so I would go to work and work on what Microsoft was putting out at the time, which was they had amber screen monitors, which were a little easier to look at, a little better contrast, but a blinking cursor on an amber screen monitor, and all DOS commands and all things that, you know, we had our little flip charts at the top of the keyboard to remember the dumb commands, because there's just an encyclopedic book full of them. Anyway, and then I'd go home and work on my Amiga, and I would think, wow, you know, I don't want one of these other things ever.
Can I inject something? First
Sure.
of all, I've got to say this is tricky, because I feel like if I went back to the past in 1986, I could say, 40 years from now, there's still going to be a club. And I'm sure if I could talk to Linda, who still lives in town, she would, you know, feel the same way.
Oh yeah. Well, the next Amiga Zet is George Leone to be honored. He was the founding father and first SACC president, and they actually did the first SIG meeting in December of 1985 at his house, and then actually of June of '86 they were out as an independent club, and I'd like to thank Dave Coombs for his copy of the Amiga Zet that we can now see, and I have a couple of copies of Dave Coombs' subscription to the Amiga Zet.
Again, if I could go back there, I could probably get several dozen, and they'll pay for them.
Yeah, there you go. And so, aware of all the Linda Marquez wrote an article in this in this.
She did icons for the discs.
Yes.
So much work into the club.
Exactly. So they give a treasurer's report here: $6,601.86 in assets at this point.
Which issue is that on? Which issue is that on?
This is inside the directory 4. Yeah, and that first one.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah. There we go, George Leone. Yeah, sorry. The other interesting point is the Northern California Amiga Computer Show that was staged that year. And I'd always wondered whether anybody did a show before we did it. And definitely did. Golden Gate Shows, producing a show Saturday and Sunday at the Oakland Coliseum Exhibit Hall. And it's in conjunction with an MS-DOS PC show and Oakland Amiga Users Group and the Amiga Show and Amiga Show participants said that they are expecting at least 30 developers to be present. So that was a big event. There really hasn't been an Amiga show since the show in San Francisco in early 1987. So this is 1988. Somebody else had put together another show at that point.
And apparently there had been an LA show.
Yes, exactly.
So there was no, in '87, wasn't there the world of Commodore still working there in California?
I don't know.
They had an AMI actually in 88, I think it was, because I had lived back in New York State, and I got my Amiga there in May of '86, and I wasn't able to bring it out with me, so when I was meeting in November of '86, I see this club with like 100 members in this big auditorium, but I had to kind of, play with other people. But when I went back about a year later, back to upstate New York, in New York City, there was a show, so some of my Amiga friends and I went there.
Ah.
And that's like when Sculpt was introduced and Silver was introduced and New Tech was showing their DigiView. Of course, they're
Sure.
We were even talking about live actually was the thing we were talking to. We were talking about the toaster.
I think that
Yeah.
the paint came out, paint too.
Yeah. So the hours, 10 to 5 both days. Admission was $5 a day. So it's pretty cheap, which is really nice too.
Remember the head count of how many people showed up, but it was on a weekend, so kids were out there looking at the stuff too, with their parents.
There was one article in here, and I didn't underline it, but they said you need to get your tickets right away because the attendance is limited to 1,200. And it was.
Oh, it's not 1,300. Yeah.
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 And those were not cheap tickets either. They weren't $5 a day. They were something like on the order of $10 or $15.
$15 at the door.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, those are some of the things I find very interesting about this. The other kind of interesting thing to me was that a lot of people were writing technical articles in here about how to do whatever, whatever they were doing, basically.
You had to because there was no software.
Here's the printer sale, 209, 259, 349, all dot matrix. And of course, that.
That's Volcano, that's Rob.
Yeah, Rob Super. Exactly.
Do you know what publishing software they would have laid that out in? Or?
Probably something PC.
No, it was one of the editors says, let's see, Professional Page. Amiga Zet was published using an Amiga 1000 and Professional Page. So that's laser printing was done at computer time on an Amiga 2000 and an AST Turbo Laser PS.
Computer time was great. I worked at computer time for about a year, and I was selling Atari STs, and there was this ongoing battle to try to get one store and had the two computing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the commercial ad rates, you could buy a quarter page for $15, a half a page vertical for $25, or horizontal for $25, full page inside $45, and half a page on the back was $25. And so they also did, not only had their laser printing done somewhere, but they also had printing, the binding was done by Century Copy. They had all of this was later done by club volunteers on their personal equipment, but that took a while to get there. So they had expenses, quite a few expenses, and one of the, as we keep on going in here, and I won't go through the whole 9 yards about the search for a place to meet, but somebody must have been on the Board of Supervisors because they got access to the Board of Supervisors chambers for their meetings. Yeah, Sacramento County. Yeah, yeah. It started there in '88, and so you can see. Yeah.
This says the Sacramento Amiga Computer Club, SACC logo, and Amiga Zet are registered trademarks.
Yes.
Does the club still own those trademarks? Is that still active?
Oh, probably. Probably. I mean, who was it that was delving into this the other day?
Gino came across some.
Oh, Gino, that's right. The Articles of Incorporation, right?
Yeah, I found all the articles of incorporation. I found the original location for the first meeting was at the original president's house, like the first 2 weeks. And they found a couple of restaurants to go to and so forth.
Mm-hmm. It was another good place to go because they had meeting rooms. You could order something and get into the meeting room, which made it really cheap.
Yeah.
And
People on the committee, vice president, secretary, treasurer.
yeah.
That has to be all together in one place.
There's one record though, or one of the clubs before the splitter, that was like $4 million, $4.79 million in the treasury account the last end of the SACC, like the OGs.
Wow.
I found some articles, $4 million, man.
That's cool. So yeah, that sounds very cool. So, and we see here also the assistant SIG coordinator is Dave Coombs, who is doing more and more, it seems like, all the time. So I told you you're going to be the star of the show here.
Well, I wanted to mention, I think I told somebody, because I have an old 3D handbook, that I have Ken's phone number written in it, and it's still his same phone, and that was from like 1987.
I love it. I love it. So as time went on, they newsletter editors, as you might imagine, found this kind of a daunting task, especially if they had never done it. And I'm presuming it doesn't talk about background that I could find in here yet about what their backgrounds were for being editor of the magazine. And it really doesn't take one, it just takes lots of time if you are learning on the fly, which is what most of these guys did. So as you can see, the AmigaZet format kept on going for a while. And then in June of '88, it changed quite a lot. And got a really, and the reason I brought the original was because the color doesn't show up on the scans. The scans are black and white because it's faster. I tried to do high resolution for the first issue to see, and it took me 11 minutes to scan it at 600 DPI. And there's 20 pages worth of stuff. And it's an old scanner, it's slow. So I went down to 300 DPI and got the same quality, as you can see. And so it took 5 minutes for those 20 pages. So it was, that's what these are. These are 300 DPI scans. And I think they turned out pretty good. But the newsletter editor at this point is Robert Dugal. And I don't know if any of you, besides the old guys, know.
And he's still in town, and he's still running
Cal Web?
Cal Web. Right?
Is he still doing Cal Web?
I don't know if he's maybe retired now.
Yeah, I think he sold it to somebody. Yeah, he actually did a
So that's who ran the Cal Web stuff?
Uh-huh.
The owner of the Cal Web?
He owned it.
I know one time some of the stuff I found too, a lot of your members had these little pages.
Mm-hmm.
Their little interests were and stuff, they're all on the site that click on them and check out the different members that they're into.
Right. Exactly.
Wayback Machine, you go on Wayback Machine, and then just type in SACC.org, it's all the way back like the 90s, and see like all the older.
So you can see all this stuff. Do they have these up there too? I didn't think so. I tried to find them too, and I couldn't find them.
I've been looking for months and months, there's not.
Yeah. So this one was kind of like a collector's.
Research on,
That's
Jerry
okay.
has his research on archive.org, where he's uploaded some of the disc of the month close stuff.
Yeah.
That's like all it really is.
Yeah, I've got some early discs in the month too.
I think I've copied all the ones that you have.
No.
Oh, you've got more? Because you gave me like a huge tray of them.
Yeah, I have the first 2 years.
Okay.
Well, like from disc of the month 1/1.
Okay.
And I know we don't have that up there. This one's kind of interesting from a collector's standpoint because it has 2 covers and 2 back covers. So whoever did it kind of blew it.
So it's like the inverted Jenny equivalent?
Yeah, exactly. Kind of fun.
But Brian, I wanted to interject.
Yeah.
One time I think my wife asked me about the newsletter. Why are you keeping all that old stuff? And so ever let anybody disparage.
Thank you for keeping it. Yeah.
Well, and you see that to me this is what gives me and gives us, because I was around for a lot of this. I wasn't here in Sacramento, but I was in Kansas City. Kansas City user group had 400 members, met in the Baptist Hospital auditorium because it was the only place they could find for free. And they just did all kinds of demos and stuff. I had to get my 2000 worked on one time. So I asked the club president, I said, who does this? He says, oh, here's the number, call him. He says, but you have to remember the password. I said, what's the password? He said, well, what do you think? I said, Amiga? He said, yeah, that's it. So I called this guy, and nice lady answers the phone, and I asked for him, and his name is Jim, and I said, is Jim there? And she says, depends, do you know the password? I said, it's Amiga. She said, you know the password? Sure. What's your name? And so I took my machine in, and it just needed to redo the hard drive a little bit. So I got it back with all kinds of software that was not on there when I went in, and it was really, really great. So I went in to pick it up, and I got a chance to meet him and talk to him. So at the time, and this was like 1995 or 96, he was running cable TV television stations, 3 of them, on an Amiga 1200. Wow. That's it.
As one does.
On an Amiga 1200. And so I said, so what is this? What's the call letters? Because I wanted to kind of call his bluff, and he says, oh, here's the call letters. So he had persuaded a local college to carry his signal and broadcast the thing. And so he was over phone lines. He was doing this. And so I thought, well, let's see what kind of display you really get, Super smooth. No, all pre-recorded. One was like a time and day and a weather station. Another one was a news station. Another one was whatever he wanted to put up there. A lot of Amiga stuff up there. And just one Amiga 1200 on his dining room table and a phone line. And that was it. And I said, how in the world? He says, you can do anything with the computer if you take enough time and learn enough about it. So it's been my challenge ever since.
Well, I wanted to say something that the ingenuity and the enthusiasm during those early days was just amazing. And the first Amiga, SACC Amiga meeting I went to, I met a local video producer. And the guy said, he said, what are you doing with me? I said, well, I can only do graphics. He says, well, I want somebody to do graphics for video. He said, but I'm looking at these Amiga programs, and they don't quite have, the animation programs don't have the resolution that I need. So I'm looking at this package called Video Effects 3D. And so pretty soon I was doing video for this guy on Video Effects 3D. And they had all kinds of non-standard things with Video Effects 3D. I mean, it was not, the stuff was not standard in format. It was not, and it was typical of people just finding a way,
Sure.
technologically to do something that hadn't been done.
Sure, exactly. So, so with this issue, they started to use a few photographs. Really bad resolution, but and at least they were trying to do it. And the other graphics parts. Now we have a calendar for the month, club activities, the SIG news over here, SIG leaders and all their phone numbers. Oh, here's the animation workshop by David Coombs. And so.
Those didn't get real far.
Yeah, but you did it.
We were excited for a while. And,
Yeah. So here's another computer store, the Computer Shop, all Amiga, on Palm Avenue up here in North Islands. So the SACC T-shirts, $6.75 a bike, not too bad. And here's a way to cheat your way through Dragon Tales, and gives you all the cheat codes and all that stuff to put in there. Let's see, $6.75 was pretty expensive for 1986 or 1988. No, this is just a T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's see if we have.
So, and one of the issues that you went through earlier,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
wanted to show that back in the day they were worried about
memory.
$800 for 2 megs, And I know right now people are like losing their minds because yeah, it's like $800 for 64 gigs. You don't even know the pain, John. You don't know the pain.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, as Robert DeGale points out, that was the way to do it until that point. And then you could get the board populated for $400 rather than just the chips for $8. So I thought it was pretty crazy. And obviously, you know, the chip wars have continued just at on a different scale. So so all of these were, I scanned in all of these, and when I finished this off, I went looking for more, and I've got through 1991, and most of the issues through 1991, from 88 to 91, and then there's a gap. Now I think I also have in another place in the mini abyss, another place with more newsletters. So and then the gap picked up around 2000. So
between 1992 to 99.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the arguing of who gets what.
Yeah.
Between Germany and the United States courts.
Well, and it's where you know Commodore went bankrupt. People are
Actually, the guy from Commodore
jumping ship, jumping ship. You know, all that kind of stuff. And in 2000 I became Amiga newsletter editor in 2000, and up till into publication in 2008. So I experienced some of the same headaches that these guys did, and so we did a print version till 2005, and then since we had internet access and somewhat able to get to it on an Amiga, we started to do it as HTML pages. So those are easy to forward on, and it's interesting to see the graphics and all the graphics at that point were done by Chuck Washburn, who, if some of you know that name, he was our secretary and our treasurer, I should say, and also our membership guy. He would take it upon himself to call the membership before every monthly meeting. So you would always get a call from Chuck just to remind you. And that was kind of sweet. But, and I didn't learn for years that he was involved with Amway. So he had become, he was the top dog as an Amway distributor, a double diamond direct distributor. $1 million a month income. And he used to do shows. My sister, my oldest sister, used to be in Amway too, and I mentioned his name one time. She said, "Chuck and Ella?" I said, "How do you know them?" And she said, "From the big meetings at the convention center. They used to fill it up twice a year." I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "Yeah. Yeah." And this was after Chuck had passed on in 2016. And I said, "No joke." She said, "Yeah, he was a double diamond direct distributor. Didn't you know that?" I said, "Oh, now I do." My God. And to look at him, I mean, you've met him, right, Robert? Yeah, you would never know. You would never know that he was filthy rich, incredibly rich.
He didn't want anybody to know.
And, right, I kind of plugged into a few side comments about what he did with it, because he was involved in a church, and I went to the church he was going to at the time. He says, "Yeah, we built this last year." I said, "We?" He said, "Yeah, me and Ella, we built this last year." I said, "Oh, it was not a small facility, and it was on a lot of land." And I said, "Chuck, where'd you get that kind of money?" He says, "Oh, we have a side business." Yeah, but I mean, he was an amazingly talented individual. To look at him, you would never know. But he was also in the late, when I finally, I mean, I got to know him pretty well and got him to talk about himself a couple of times. So he said, well, did you know that I opened the first color portrait studio in Sacramento in 1955? I said, no, I did not know that. And so I said, so how long did you do that? He says, oh, about 15 years. Then he was involved in an accident and pretty badly injured. But he could still do Amway that whole time, which I'm sure he did. But one of the unique members, and I think everybody here has unique stories, you know, that if we sat down and told them, we would all say, excuse me, what? Because that's the kind of people that are attracted to this platform for whatever reason. Who knows? But
I'll tell them, I'm going to stay in.
So this is the tip of the iceberg. And so I'll keep scanning and we'll keep posting. And that way, I probably, unless we run out of stuff for a club meeting, I probably won't do too much with it in the future since you've seen it already. But you can get into it and read it on your own, and which is the goal here, is to find out who some of these people were, what they did, and how it actually worked itself out, not only back in the day, but until fairly recent times. And so I think it's a fascinating story. And thanks for your time and your ear.
Thanks, Brian.
Oh, you bet.
You need to find.
Thank you.